Hi, Townview Music. We are going to do a few sample counting examples just to get more comfortable with counting. Take a moment and look at each of these and on your own memorize or think about or even write down what the rhythm counting is for each of them. I'll give you a second to pause the video. Now that you've had a chance to do that, let's go through and figure out the counting. For this first one, we're in 4/4, which means 4 beats per measure, and the quarter note gets the beat. And each of these would be 1 beat long. They would each get their own number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're looking at a mixture of eighth notes and quarter notes. Each pair of eighth notes will take up an entire beat, but that means that the second one needs something other than a number. This is going to be 1. This is going to be and. 2 takes up the entire beat. Then we have 3 and 4. Now in the next measure, we have 16th notes. 16th notes are going to be 4 for every single beat, which means this whole set of beamed together 16th notes will be beat 1. And if you pay attention, most of the time music will group things according to the beat. So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. If you notice that the beat is happening in between one of these things, you probably missed something along the way. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, but we need to label all of the notes that happen in between those beats. These are 16th notes, so that will be E and A for each of the 16th notes there. These are just eighth notes, so I only need number and then more 16th notes. And what are those going to be? 3, E, and A. Which leaves us with only one more note at the end of the measure, and that's 4. Let's count this line together. This is our quarter note beat. Our eighth notes sound like this. And our 16th notes sound like this. Ready? Count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4. One more time. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4. Take a moment to study the next line if you haven't already. Pause this video if you need to write in all of the counting numbers. Now that you've done all of that, let's go through the counting numbers together. We're in 3/4. The 3 in 3/4 means that we only have 3 beats per measure, but the 4 at the bottom says that we're still using our quarter note as our unit of beat. We're still thinking of a quarter note worth 1 beat. So each of these are quarters, which means they're each beats. Beat 1, beat 2, beat 3. The next note is a half note. So this is going to be worth 2 quarter notes, or 2 beats in this case. Beat 1, which we'll say, and then we hold it out and think beat 2. The next note, beat 3. So this would be 1, 2, 3. This would be 1, 3. So you have to think beat 2. You have to count beat 2, but you can't say beat 2 because this note is 2 beats long. If you said beat 2, it would look like this and sound like this, and this is different. Now we have eighth notes, a quarter note, and 16th notes. We have all three values in the same measure. So this is beat 1. Every measure is always going to start with a 1. No matter what kind of note it is or what kind of rest it is, the first thing in a measure is always 1. So that's 1 and 2, 3, and because they're 16th notes, E and A. And now, 3 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3. Let's count that line together. Again, we're thinking quarter, eighth, and your 16ths. 1 E and 2 E and moving along pretty fast. Here we go. Ready and count. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1 and 2, 3 E and 1, 2, 3. Get ready. Counting again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 3. 1 and 2, 3 E and 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Last one now, we're in 2/4. Again, the bottom note is still a 4, which means it's still a quarter note, but the top note is a 2 now, which means only 2 beats per measure. If you haven't taken a moment to go through and figure out the counting, do that now. Pause the video if you need to do it. And our counting would be 1, 2, 1 and 2, 1 E and A, 2 and 1 and 2. Let's count that together. Here we go. 1, 2, 1 and 2, 1 E and 2 and 1 and 2. Again. Here we go. 1, 2, 1 and 2, 1 E and 2 and 1 and 2. So, like with all the videos, review this one as many times as you need to until you get a really good sense of how half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes all work together in terms of the rhythmic value and a steady tempo. Very, very important that you don't change your tempo while you're counting, because that's going to throw everything else off. Keep working.